So welcome to Keys, level 8, or no, this is level 9 of Halo 1. If you've lasted this long, I'm sure this level will actually be fun to you because I will now also talk about the more in-depth stuff. I say that every time, but hopefully this time I will properly. This is the Keys level. We're going to be hearing him speak in a moment as well. Some flood there.
Captain?
Captain's quite hurt, and that's why we're here now. We're here to get him. Alright, so one thing with this level, like I said, we're already on the Truth and Reconciliation, the ship. It's the one that played in the 3rd level. There we go, there's a floor. Yeah, here he is. Oh, that one's kind of shocking. Alright, that was my concern, big concern there. And then we're just back on the ship trying to find keys, because apparently the Covenant have him. So that's what we see right now. And we just fell out of the ship because there was a giant hole in the floor for some reason. And now we got to get back inside the ship. This is where we were on the 3rd level when we were trying to get to the grav lift. So that's what we're going to kind of do again. We got to get on board properly. And I'm already almost dead, just mainly because I messed up that whole intro there. Yep, I deserve death already. Alright, now we should be good. I normally just rush it here. Push him up, take out the guys with the shotgun. Hopefully he's not following anymore. There we go. Once you get around corners, normally they don't follow you past the section. Ooh. I could choose the run up here and, you know, do what I just did 2 seconds ago. However, this section is... Oh, God. Alright. This section is highly, you know... Death. Highly death. That's how I'm going to say it. Oh, he's got a shotgun. It's all the shotgun ones that I'm aware of. And then there should be... I didn't know those dropped first. There we go. Oh, no. Dead, 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 dead. This is normally where I don't like to stay around. There we go. Right, this is quicker than I normally ever run this. I would have stayed back, actually. I should have stayed back. Whoa. I should have stayed back completely. I lied. Oh. I can't concentrate. There we go. Alright. We're at the next section. Now I can actually talk to you. So, one thing I wanted to talk about was what the flood really is and how it came to be. The flood, as you know, right now is just an infection. I kind of said this before. I said I'd talk about the flood and what they are, but I didn't go in depth because they are more than they seem on the surface, by far. They're not just an infection. Jesus. Normally I wait this out, but I kind of didn't want to do that this time. How did the flood come to be? Because did these floras start first? Chicken or the egg, whatever. In this case, the flood was actually... It is still an infection. However, it came about from a short story that I'm going to go on about called the Precursor War. Or the Forerunner Precursor War. So the Forerunners, as we've talked about, are the ones who built this installation and built all this tech that has still survived, and the ones who built the ring. What the Forerunners did was they started a war with a species called the Precursors. The Precursors are essentially the people who held the mantle of responsibility before the Forerunners were trying to hold the mantle of responsibility. The issue and why they went to war, or the Forerunners went to war with the Precursors, was that the Forerunners wanted to hold the mantle of responsibility. However, they were told they do not deserve or get to hold the mantle of responsibility, that actually the true people who get the hold after, because the mantle has to be held on by people every so often, so it switches hands. So the first time it will be held by the Precursor, or at least what we know of. The Precursors are the holders, and then the next people were supposed to be, yeah, humans. That's where this story kind of takes place. And then, again, oh jeez, I'm sorry, I'm so concentrated on trying not to die here. Oh god, no. Flood spores, there we go. So concentrated on the game, there we go. The Forerunners were like, no, we want to be the next protectors of the galaxy. We deserve it. However, the Precursors were like, no, the humans are going to be your next holders of the mantle of responsibility. The next holders, like I said. And then, because of that, Forerunners were very angry and started a war with the Precursors. And give you kind of some information here, that the Precursors are more advanced than the Forerunners, in the sense that the Forerunners are what are called a Tier 1 civilization. Even with all this tech, all of that, how advanced they are, they're called a Tier 1. They are the highest, except for, look in the corners, yep, so Flood are gathering bodies for food and everything. However, they might be a Tier 1, but above that is a Tier 0. And the Precursors were a Tier 0. What happened was, they started a war, they were fighting, and then all of a sudden the Forerunners were winning. And this all leads to the Flood, don't worry. The Forerunners were winning, and they eventually did win. They beat the Precursors in the Precursor War. However, there are signs that point that the Precursors wanted to lose. That even in the end, when the Precursors did come down to the point of like extinction almost, because that's where this war led, was that they eventually took on another form. That's how advanced they were, that they could just do this. And eventually this is where also my information, hopefully I am correct. I'm not a perfect book in the way of Halo knowledge, but I do know enough that these Precursors took on the new form and kind of floated in space. That's essentially what it did, or they did. And they floated out in space as essentially dust. And eventually, what they were supposed to do after a while was they would come back and essentially fight the Forerunners again. But they're kind of farewell in a little bit. There are still Precursors. We go into that a bit later, and more in Halo 2. However, one thing that we see that they do as a kind of a little goodbye to the Forerunners in revenge is that some of the Precursors get infected a little bit, like the dust. They get infected with it's an infection essentially, and this dust became what is the Flood. It is the Flood. So they are part of the they are Precursors in a way. It's an infection from the Precursors, and it was more of a kind of haha to you, more towards the Forerunners, because the Forerunners had started a war with a more advanced civilization. And like I said, it seemed like they wanted to lose that war. There are signs of it, so that's why it was still a backhand to them, as well as to the rest of the entire universe or galaxy, because the Precursors were so advanced that they could travel outside of the galaxy incredibly fast. I think they said almost instantaneously. And traveling outside a galaxy is ridiculous. I think Forerunners were not 100% sure on this, but I think they were entailed and stuck to the universe of the Milky Way galaxy. Not the universe, the galaxy. But Precursors could get out of the galaxy almost right away. So they were quite advanced, and from this, like I said, they created the Flood, and that's what eventually led to all of this, the infection and everything like that, and how the Flood kind of came about. So, and there's more in depth about this, the Precursors and what happened to them, because like I said, the Forerunners went to war with them, and why would they want to all of a sudden lose? Why were there signs of it? That I can't really go in depth until Halo 2 and 3, because that's when there's backstory that also is not on the surface. That's another hidden thing that comes up later, and that's why it's called backstory. I would recommend, if you are really interested in like that kind of lore, go into the Wikipedia and stuff like that, and go maybe read the books, because the books, especially the new ones in the Forerunner saga, which is more towards Halo 4 and 5, the Forerunner trilogy, that information comes more in the books, like or Cryptum and everything like that, the books. So yeah, it's a bit more advanced. However, I will talk about them later. Like I said, there's just so much with it, and it would take me a day of explanation just to do everything if we're going to go all Halo lore and everything like that. But these are the brief summaries, pretty much. Okay, don't kill me. Oh god, I am going to die. Grenade's going to bounce back and explode on me. Hello. Oh, I went right over his head. Hello. Cool. There we go. Oh god, they're still spawning. There we are. Okay. So, that's where these guys led to and how the infection came about. And here we go. Actually, this is what... Good point to say. This is where the infection came about. And now we found keys. Or what's left of keys, rather.
No human life signs detected. The captain, he's one of them. We can't let the flood get off this ring. You know what he'd expect. What he'd want us to do.
We're essentially killing Keys there. He is part of the flood, but he's also still alive, in a way. He's part of that mind. What we did there was... The codes, there we go. What we did was punched his face in. You can see it on these graphics. Yeah, there you go. What we did was... one thing with the UNSC is that there are neural interfaces, and that's what that was there. So it's a thing that's connected to your brain, neural. So, and you can kind of like do a bunch of, think Matrix, but not Matrix, in a way, okay? That's the best one. You have, again, that's one of those you might want to go do some research on if you want yourself. But that's what we were grabbing because it has the codes to the ships, the Pillar of Autumn to unlock the blast shields on the engine core. So that, you know, the engine core doesn't explode. But, so one thing I was going to say there is, that was the thing that I was saying with the extract information from some mines, especially ones that wouldn't crack. So Keys didn't crack at all, actually. Like, during that, he was not cracking in the sense that the Flood was trying to get that information from him, like, about the ring and everything that's going... everything that Keys knew. They really wanted that information, the Flood. And, oh, jeez, I'm gonna die. Yep, I'm dead. Keys during that whole... Ooh! Keys during all that, like, while he's being sapped in that thing, he's screaming, his code, his UNSC code, which... Oh, did he stick me? Yes, he did. Whatever, I blew him up with me. I'll actually, focus. But he's screaming his code, so, like, you know, everyone has a number. Chief is 117. Keys has his own, and, you see it in a terminal, actually. Keys is yelling, Keys, he says his full name, actually, I think, during it. He's just trying to keep that memory, because he's losing it all, partially. And he's getting just sapped. And that's why he's screaming it. He's just trying to survive long enough, essentially, because he knows Chief is coming at a point. That's why he says, Chief, leave me. But he also knows Chief isn't going to leave him. That's what happened in, you know, the level when we came here the first time on Truth and Reconciliation. He knows Chief isn't just going to leave. But also hosts, Flood, when whoever they take, so their hosts, they get their memories anyway. So if that elite down there gets infected or I get infected, it retains my memories. It knows my memories. So that's one thing with the two. But that was the truth, or not the truth. That was Keys. Keys is gone. The war hero from all the from the first book, all the books. From the first book and everything else, and even in the game Halo Reach, which you will see. He's not really a hero in that one, but he does show up, nonetheless. But this is the last level. It's called the Maw. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to let this cinematic play on the last level, because I enjoyed this level the most. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.